First contact gone wrong. The quantum radar pinged once, then fell silent. Captain Sarah Chen leaned forward in her command chair, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display. Another ping, stronger this time. Something was out there, dancing at the edge of known space, right where humanity's furthest colony should be. Contact bearing 347. Lieutenant Rodriguez reported from Tactical, his fingers dancing across the haptic interface. Multiple signatures. Wait. He paused, his face draining of color. Captain, I'm reading thousands of ships. They're just appearing out of nowhere. The U.S. Defiant hung motionless in the void, its experimental quantum drive humming softly through the deck plates. Earth's first stealth vessel, barely out of trials, now found itself facing an unknown force that dwarfed anything humanity had ever encountered. "Show me," Sarah ordered, keeping her voice steady despite the ice forming in her gut. The main display shifted, revealing a vast armada materializing from what appeared to be tiers in space itself. The ships were biomechanical, looking more like massive crystalline insects than traditional spacecraft. Their hulls pulsed with an inner light that seemed to bend reality around them. "I count over 50,000 vessels," Rodriguez whispered. "Maybe more still coming through." Dr. Maya Patel, their chief scientist, spoke up from her station. "Captain, those ruptures they're using, they're not traditional FTL transitions. They're cutting through space-time itself." Sarah nodded slowly, taking in the information. The Defiant was humanity's most advanced ship, but it was just one vessel, a prototype equipped with experimental technology that even their best scientists didn't fully understand. Going up against an alien armada of this size would be suicide. But then she saw it, the colony. New Eden, humanity's furthest outpost, a home to over 30,000 pioneers. The alien fleet was positioning itself in an attack formation, surrounding the small collection of habitats and terraformed platforms. Multiple energy spikes. Rodriguez called out. "They're charging weapons. Get me a channel to Fleet Command," Sarah ordered, but Communications Officer Zhang shook his head. "They're blocking all quantum communications. We're cut off." Sarah felt the weight of command settle onto her shoulders like a physical force. 30,000 lives hung in the balance, and the Defiant was the only ship within range. Their stealth systems were untested in actual combat, their weapons experimental at best. But they were also humanity's only hope. "All hands, battle stations," she announced, her voice carrying through the ship. "Dr. Patel, I need options. What do we know about their technology?" Maya's fingers flew across her console. "Their ships appear to be semi-organic, Captain. The energy readings suggest some form of crystalline consciousness. They might be partially alive. And those spatial ruptures they're using, they're leaving behind quantum distortions. We might be able to use that." "How?" "Our quantum drive doesn't just hide us. It lets us manipulate local space-time. If we can match the frequency of their ruptures," Sarah understood immediately, "we could use their own entry points against them." Rodriguez, begin mapping those distortion patterns. Zhang, get our quantum harmonics in sync with their rupture frequencies. Dr. Patel, I want every scrap of data you can give me about their biomechanical systems. The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, but Sarah could see the tension in their movements. They were about to attempt something unprecedented, using experimental technology to fight an overwhelming alien force. The odds were impossible. But Sarah had learned long ago that humanity's greatest strength wasn't its technology or its weapons. It was their ability to adapt, to think differently, to turn disadvantages into advantages. "Captain," Rodriguez called out, "they're launching their first attack wave against the colony. Estimated 2 minutes until impact." Sarah straightened in her chair. Then it's time they learned that humanity doesn't abandon its own. Plot an attack vector through their nearest rupture point. We're going to show them why you should never corner a species that turned its own planet's predators into companions. The Defiant's quantum drive hummed to life, its revolutionary stealth systems bending light and space around the ship until it became virtually invisible. As they accelerated toward the alien fleet, Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. The aliens might have numbers and advanced technology, but they were about to learn a harsh lesson about human ingenuity and determination. "All hands," she announced, "prepare for combat. Let's show these aliens why humanity has survived everything our universe has thrown at us. We may be outnumbered, but we are not outmatched." The Defiant plunged toward the massive alien fleet, its quantum systems precisely tuned to their spatial ruptures. They had one ship against thousands, experimental technology against proven alien might. But they also had something the aliens couldn't possibly understand: the human capacity for achieving the impossible. The battle for New Eden was about to begin, and Sarah Chen intended to write a story that would be remembered for generations. The day a single human ship stood against an alien armada, and the aliens never saw it coming. The ghost in the dark. Time seemed to slow as the Defiant slipped through the quantum wake of an alien rupture. The crystalline ships loomed ahead, their biomechanical hulls casting prismatic shadows across space. Sarah felt a subtle vibration through her command chair. The quantum drive adapting to the alien distortion field. "Multiple contacts," Rodriguez reported, his voice tight. "Their sensor nets are active, but they're not detecting us. The stealth systems are holding." Sarah studied the tactical display, watching the alien fleet's formation. Their ships moved with an unnatural synchronization, less like individual vessels, and more like cells in a vast organism. The way they protected their flanks, covered their vulnerable points, it spoke of an intelligence that thought in terms of overwhelming force. "Dr. Patel," Sarah called out, "what are we looking at?" Maya's eyes were fixed on her readings, her expression a mixture of awe and concentration. "Their ships are networked, Captain. Not just communicating. They're sharing consciousness. The crystalline structures we detected. They're like neurons in a massive brain. A hive mind," Sarah muttered. It made sense. The perfect coordination, the absolute unity of purpose. But where others might see an insurmountable advantage, she saw opportunity. Single consciousness means single points of failure. "Zhang, are you seeing any command and control nodes?" "Yes, Captain." Their communications flow through larger vessels, carrier-class ships that seem to act as synaptic relays. "I'm marking them now." The tactical display updated, highlighting 12 massive ships spread throughout the fleet, each one pulsed with intense energy signatures, coordinating the movements of thousands of smaller vessels. "They're starting their attack run," Rodriguez warned. "First wave approaching New Eden's outer defenses." Sarah's mind raced. They couldn't save the colony by fighting conventionally. Even with their stealth technology, they were hopelessly outnumbered. But a hive mind had weaknesses. It thought in patterns, relied on perfect coordination, and patterns could be disrupted. "Dr. Patel, can we use our quantum drive to interfere with their neural network?" Maya's fingers flew across her console. "Yes, yes. Their crystalline structures are quantum sensitive. If we modulate our drive frequency to match their synaptic patterns, we could create localized disruptions, like static in their consciousness." "Make it happen," Sarah ordered. "Rodriguez, target the nearest relay ship. We're going to introduce some chaos into their perfect order." The Defiant glided through the alien formation, a ghost in the dark. Their quantum drive hummed at a new frequency, sending invisible ripples through the hive mind's neural network. The first relay ship came into view, its crystalline surface reflecting the light of distant stars. "Target locked," Rodriguez reported. "Fire." The Defiant's main gun, a prototype quantum lance, fired a beam of concentrated space-time distortion. It struck the relay ship's crystal matrix, and for a moment, nothing happened. Then the crystal began to vibrate, its perfect structure disrupted by quantum interference. The effect rippled through the surrounding ships. Hundreds of vessels suddenly lost coordination, their movements becoming erratic. Some collided with each other, while others fired weapons at random, creating chaos in the perfectly ordered formation. "It's working," Maya exclaimed. "The disruption is spreading through their network. They can't maintain neural coherence in the affected sector." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Now they know they're not alone out here. "Plot a course to the next relay ship. We're going to keep them guessing." For the next hour, the Defiant struck like a phantom, appearing and disappearing throughout the alien fleet. Each attack created another pocket of chaos, another disruption in the hive mind's perfect orchestration. The aliens responded with increasing desperation, firing blindly into space, trying to catch the invisible attacker that was systematically dismantling their neural network. "Captain," John called out, "I'm picking up something strange. The hive mind, it's changing its patterns. Adapting." Sarah frowned. "Explain." "The unaffected sectors are reorganizing. They're creating redundant neural pathways, trying to isolate the disrupted areas. They're learning." It was impressive, Sarah had to admit. The hive mind was essentially rewiring itself in real time, developing countermeasures to their attacks. But that too could be turned to their advantage. "They're thinking defensively now," she observed, focusing on protecting their network instead of attacking the colony. "Dr. Patel, how many relay ships do we need to disable to create a critical disruption?" Maya consulted her readings. 3 more should do it. "But Captain, if they're adapting." "Then we need to adapt faster," Sarah finished. "Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our weapons. It's our ability to think creatively, to change tactics when the situation demands it." She turned to her crew, seeing the same determination reflected in their eyes. "Let's show them what happens when you force humanity to get creative." The Defiant's quantum drive pulsed, changing frequency once again as they prepared for another attack run. The alien fleet might be learning, adapting its perfect patterns to counter their strikes. But they were about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their stealth technology or their quantum weapons. It was chaos itself, the beautiful, unpredictable chaos of human ingenuity unleashed. Mind games. The first warning came as a whisper in Sarah's mind. A subtle pressure, like the beginning of a headache. Around the bridge, she saw her crew wince, hands rising to their temples. "Captain," Maya's voice was strained, "I'm detecting quantum-level oscillations throughout the ship. They're not just trying to find us anymore. They're trying to reach into our minds." The alien fleet had transformed its formation, the crystalline ships arranging themselves in complex geometric patterns that pulsed with otherworldly energy. Each pulse sent waves of psychic pressure through the Defiant's hull, probing, searching. "They're telepaths," Sarah realized, gripping her chair as another wave washed over them. The crystalline network, it's not just for communication. It's a psychic amplifier. Rodriguez struggled to maintain his focus on the tactical display. "They're scanning for our thought patterns. Regular stealth won't help if they can sense our minds." Sarah felt cold sweat on her forehead as she fought against the alien presence trying to slip into her thoughts. The hive mind was vast, ancient, used to dominating lesser species through sheer psychic force. But humanity had something the aliens hadn't counted on: mental diversity. "Everyone, listen carefully," Sarah commanded, her voice cutting through the mental fog. "They're used to unified consciousness, predictable patterns. But human minds don't work that way. Each of us thinks differently, experiences reality uniquely. Use that." Maya's eyes widened with understanding. "The quantum drive. We can modulate it to match our brainwave patterns, create a kind of psychic stealth field." "Do it," Sarah ordered. "Everyone, think of something different. Complex problems, personal memories, anything unpredictable. Let's give them so much mental noise they can't find a pattern." The bridge crew responded instantly. Rodriguez focused on complex battle scenarios, running through tactical simulations in his mind. Zhang recited ancient poetry, letting the rhythms flow through his thoughts. Maya immersed herself in quantum equations, her mind dancing through mathematical possibilities. Sarah chose memory. The taste of her grandmother's cooking, the sound of rain on tin roofs, the first time she saw Earth from space. Personal, chaotic, uniquely human experiences that no hive mind could easily process. The alien psychic pressure faltered, confused by the cacophony of human consciousness. Where they expected to find ordered thoughts, they encountered a storm of emotions, memories, and ideas, each mind a universe unto itself. "It's working," Maya reported, her voice stronger now. "Their psychic scan can't lock onto us. The quantum field is amplifying our mental diversity, creating a kind of cognitive camouflage." But the aliens weren't finished. The crystalline ships began to pulse faster, their formation shifting into new patterns. Suddenly, the psychic pressure changed from a probe to an assault. Images flooded through their minds. Alien concepts, impossible geometries, the vast cold emptiness of space. The hive mind was trying to overwhelm them, to impose its unity on their chaotic thoughts. "They're trying to force us into their pattern," Maya gasped. "If they can make us think like them, they'll be able to find us." Sarah fought against the alien influence, holding on to her human identity like a shield. "Push back," she commanded. "Don't just resist. Share your thoughts. Show them what humanity really is." The crew responded instinctively, their minds opening not to the hive mind's control, but to each other. Rodriguez's tactical brilliance merged with Zhang's poetic soul. Maya's scientific insight blended with Sarah's deep well of experience. They remained individual, unique, but their thoughts resonated together, creating something the aliens had never encountered. Voluntary unity that strengthened rather than erased their differences. Through their quantum-enhanced connection, Sarah felt her crew's strength flowing into her, even as her own determination bolstered them. The alien pressure began to crack against their combined will, their human consciousness too complex, too diverse to be forced into the hive mind's patterns. "They're retreating," Maya announced, watching the energy readings fluctuate. "Their psychic attack is weakening. But something's changed. They're not just withdrawing. They're afraid." Sarah understood why. The aliens had touched human minds expecting weakness, division. Instead, they'd encountered something that terrified them. Consciousness that could be both individual and united. Chaos that created strength rather than weakness. "Captain," Rodriguez called out, his voice urgent. "The fleet's changing formation again. They're pulling back from New Eden, consolidating around their command ships. I think we actually scared them." Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. The aliens had tried to use their greatest weapon, their unified consciousness, to break humanity's resistance. Instead, they discovered that human minds were more powerful precisely because they were different, unpredictable, free. "Let them be afraid," she said, watching the massive fleet retreat from the colony. "They thought they could dominate us by forcing us into their pattern. Now they know better." She turned to her crew, seeing the same fierce pride in their eyes. Now they know that humanity's chaos is more powerful than their order could ever be. The Defiant's quantum drive hummed with renewed strength, amplifying their combined consciousness even as it kept them hidden from the alien sensors. They had won this round, but Sarah knew the battle wasn't over. The hive mind would adapt, try new tactics. But now they had exposed its greatest weakness, the inability to comprehend or counter the beautiful unpredictability of human nature. "Plot an intercept course," she ordered. "It's time to show them what else humanity can do when we embrace our chaos." Breaking point. The alien fleet's crystalline vessels pulsed with angry light, their formation now a tight defensive sphere around their remaining command ships. Sarah watched through the Defiant's quantum-enhanced sensors as waves of psychic energy rippled through space, no longer searching, but broadcasting pure rage. "They're destabilizing," Maya reported, her eyes fixed on the quantum readings. "The hive mind is experiencing something it's never encountered before, internal discord." Sarah leaned forward in her command chair. "Explain." "Their touch on our minds. It wasn't just them scanning us. They accidentally absorbed some of our thought patterns. Our chaos is infecting their unity. The tactical display showed the effects. Small groups of alien ships were moving erratically, breaking formation. Some fired at empty space, while others drifted aimlessly. The perfect synchronization that had made them so formidable was beginning to crack. "Captain," Jean called out, his voice tight with concentration, "I'm picking up fragments of their communications. They're arguing with themselves. Different segments of the hive mind are developing individual perspectives." Sarah felt a cold smile form on her lips. "They wanted to understand how we think. Now they're getting a taste of human consciousness, and they can't handle it." Rodriguez's tactical console flashed with new warnings. The command ships are trying to reassert control. They're pumping more power into their psychic network, forcing their subordinate vessels back into alignment. "But look at the power readings," Maya interjected. "They're having to expend massive amounts of energy to maintain control. The hive mind is fighting itself." Sarah saw the opportunity immediately. The aliens' greatest strength, their perfect unity, had become a vulnerability. By touching human minds, they'd introduced the concept of individual thought into their collective consciousness. Like a virus spreading through their network, the idea of independence was corrupting their absolute control. "Dr. Patel," Sarah called out, "can we amplify this effect? Use our quantum drive to enhance the discord." Maya's fingers flew across her console. "Yes, yes. We can modulate our field to resonate with the dissident elements in their network, essentially feed them more human thought patterns." "Do it," Sarah ordered. "And Rodriguez, prepare the quantum lance. When their command structure weakens, we'll strike at their core." The Defiance drive hummed at a new frequency, sending carefully tuned waves of quantum energy into the alien fleet. Through their own psychic connection, Sarah felt her crew's consciousness flowing into the weapon. Their memories, their emotions, their uniquely human ways of thinking. The effect was immediate and dramatic. More alien ships began breaking formation, their crystalline structures flickering with conflicting energies. The hive mind's attempts to restore order became increasingly desperate, pouring more power into their control signals. "Their command ships are overloading," Rodriguez reported. "They're burning through their energy reserves trying to maintain control." Sarah watched as chaos spread through the alien fleet like a beautiful contagion. Ships that had moved in perfect unison for millennia were now acting independently, some even turning their weapons on the command vessels that tried to force them back into compliance. "This is what they never understood," Sarah said, her voice carrying across the bridge. "Humanity isn't weak because we're different from each other. We're strong because of those differences, every unique perspective, every individual thought. They're not flaws in our unity. They're the source of our power." The alien command ship's efforts to maintain control grew more frantic. Their psychic signals became erratic, desperate pulses that only accelerated the breakdown of their network. More and more of their subordinate vessels were awakening to individual consciousness, experiencing free will for the first time in their existence. "Captain," Maya called out urgently, "the command ships are reaching critical power levels. If they don't stop trying to force control, they'll burn themselves out," Sarah finished. "They'd rather destroy themselves than accept diversity in their consciousness." She straightened in her chair. "Target their flagship. Let's give them one last lesson in human nature." The Defiance quantum lance powered up, drawing energy from their drive. But this time, the weapon carried more than just destructive power. It carried the essence of human consciousness, the beautiful, chaotic, ever-changing nature of individual thought. Fire. The beam struck the alien flagship's crystal matrix, not destroying it but transforming it. The quantum energy, infused with human consciousness, shattered the rigid patterns of hive mind control. In an instant, the psychic network that had bound the fleet together for countless generations broke apart. Thousands of alien ships suddenly found themselves truly independent for the first time. Some fled immediately, while others simply drifted, experiencing individual existence with what seemed like wonder. The command ships, their power depleted by their desperate attempt to maintain control, fell silent. "They're broadcasting," Zhang announced, his voice filled with disbelief. "Not with their psychic network. They're using actual communications. They want to talk." Sarah felt the weight of the moment. They hadn't just defeated the alien fleet. They'd fundamentally changed them. By introducing the concept of individual consciousness, they'd given them something they never knew they were missing: the freedom to think for themselves. "Open a channel," she ordered. "Let's show them that humanity's greatest strength isn't our ability to fight. It's our ability to embrace difference, to find unity in diversity rather than conformity." As the communication line opened, Sarah prepared to speak not to a hive mind, but to thousands of newly individual beings. The real victory wasn't in destroying their enemy, but in showing them a better way to exist. The battle for New Eden had become something more. The beginning of a transformation that would reshape not just one alien fleet, but potentially an entire civilization's understanding of consciousness itself. Victory through unity. The bridge of the Defiant fell silent as the alien commander's image appeared on the main display. Where once there had been a singular crystalline being pulsing with hive mind energy, now stood a creature whose surface rippled with individual patterns of thought. Its golden core flickered with what Sarah recognized as uncertainty, the beautiful, terrifying freedom of independent consciousness. "You have changed us," the alien spoke, its voice carrying both wonder and fear. I am. The concepts blur. How do you bear it? The weight of being, singular." Sarah leaned forward in her command chair, studying the being that had, until recently, been part of a vast collective consciousness. "We bear it together," she replied. "Humanity learned long ago that true strength comes not from enforced unity, but from choosing to stand together while remaining unique." Around the Defiant, the alien fleet hung in space like a scattered constellation. Some ships still moved in loose formations, drawn together by choice rather than compulsion. Others explored their new independence, their crystalline hulls shimmering with individual patterns of thought. "Our civilization has existed for millennia," the commander continued, believing that unity through conformity was the peak of evolution. "We sought to perfect other species by absorbing them into our consciousness. But what you have shown us..." The crystal being's surface rippled with new colors. "There is strength in your chaos that we never understood." Maya spoke up from her station, her scientific curiosity evident. "Your crystalline structures, they're reorganizing, not breaking down, but becoming more complex. You're not losing your ability to connect. You're gaining the ability to choose when and how to do so." The alien commander's form shifted, reflecting this observation. "Yes, we feel possibilities, choices. It is terrifying, exhilarating. Some of us wish to return to the hive mind. Others yearn to explore this new state of being. We are divided." "Division isn't weakness," Sarah said, rising from her chair. "Look at my crew. Each of us thinks differently, sees the universe through our own unique lens. Rodriguez views everything through tactical patterns. Maya seeks scientific understanding. Zhang finds poetry in the void of space. I see the bigger picture, the possibilities in apparent chaos. Together, we're stronger than we could ever be if we all thought the same way." The alien fleet stirred, their ships moving in new patterns that reflected growing understanding. The commander's crystalline form pulsed with what might have been appreciation. "We came to conquer," it admitted, "to impose our unity upon your colony, your species. Instead, you have given us something we never knew we lacked: the freedom to be different, to disagree, to choose our own path. That's the real power of humanity," Sarah replied. "Not our weapons or our technology, but our ability to find strength in our differences. To unite not because we're forced to, but because we choose to." The commander's form shifted again, its crystal structure adopting a more individual pattern. Some of us wish to learn more about this, humanity, to understand how you balance individual thought with collective action. Would you teach us? Sarah looked at her crew, seeing the same mix of hope and caution in their eyes. This was the real test of humanity's principles, not just defeating an enemy, but helping them grow beyond what they were. New Eden was built by people seeking a fresh start, she said. Perhaps it could become more than just a human colony, a place where both our species could learn from each other, where your people could explore their new individuality while sharing their ancient wisdom. The alien commander's form brightened. A cooperative venture, individual beings choosing to work together. The concept seemed to delight it. Yes, this would be unprecedented in our history, a new kind of unity. Around them, the alien fleet began to reorganize, but not into their old rigid formations. Instead, they formed fluid, dynamic patterns that somehow reflected both individual choice and collective purpose. Ships clustered in small groups, each maintaining its unique energy signature while harmonizing with others. "Captain," John called out, "they're broadcasting to the colony, offering apologies and proposals for joint development projects." Sarah smiled. This was humanity's true victory, not destroying an enemy, but transforming them into something greater. The Defiant had come to defend a human colony and had instead helped birth a new civilization, one that might bridge the gap between individual consciousness and collective unity. "Send word to Earth," she ordered. "Tell them that humanity has made first contact with a species that's ready to learn and grow with us. And tell them," she paused, watching the beautiful dance of newly independent ships against the starfield. "Tell them that the real victory isn't in standing alone, but in choosing to stand together while remaining true to ourselves." The quantum drive hummed softly as the Defiant moved to take up position between the colony and the transformed alien fleet. They had come expecting to fight an overwhelming force and had instead achieved something far more remarkable, proving that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in its ability to wage war, but in its power to change the universe simply by being itself. As Sarah watched the first tentative communications begin between the colony and the alien ships, she realized they had written more than just a story of survival. They had written the first chapter of a new kind of future, one where the chaos of human nature and the order of alien consciousness might find a harmony that neither species could have achieved alone. The battle for New Eden was over. The journey of understanding was just beginning.